Hello guys, welcome to Dawn to Night Stare. I know you guys come here to relax and take a nap, so before we go, please hit like and subscribe. By the way, also tell me what time and where you guys listening from. Alright then.
Okay, bet. So, picture this. I met Zephyr at my parents' funeral. Talk about a grim meet cute, right? I was, totally having a full-blown meltdown in this creepy old arboretum. Crying? Easy. Stopping? Literally the hardest thing ever. Every splinter I got from hugging my knees was a new sob ripping through me. Are you okay? My head snapped up from where I was, basically trying to disappear into my knees. Standing there, chilling amongst the trees like he was part of the aesthetic, was this guy my age. Wild, kinda unsettling eyes, and get this, pointy ears, no cap. He even had this flower crown situation going on, all woven green and blooming, nestled in his thick brown hair. My first thought? Butterfly. His wings were iridescent, just shimmering under the late sun. He did this little head tilt. I'm Prince Zephyr, he says, all casual, holding out a hand. What's your name? I sniffled, wiping my nose. River, that's good to know. He steps forward, arms folded. Call my name, day or night, River, and I'll come for you. I'll take you home. Prince Zephyr then, giggle sesh. And his smile? Bro, it was too wide, too many teeth. Humans like you taste way better without all that skin. When that butterfly boy burst into giggles, I literally booked it straight into my aunt's arms. I was 12 when he showed up again. One minute I was getting bodied by 3 jerks behind the school cafeteria, and the next I was staring at hollowed-out sockets where their eyes used to be. All I had to see was a glimmer of wings. Zephyr, leaning against a tree, giving a little wave. Spooky AF. After that, I made it my whole personality to not make a sound when I was hurting. Bit my tongue till it bled. Sophomore year, I full-on ate it down the main staircase in the STEM building, and the whole hallway went silent. Zephyr met me outside my chemistry class, playing with someone's actual breath sealed in a jar. So messed up. River. His smile was like a shark, cruel, relentless. Have you decided to come with me yet? Dude, leave me alone. He smirked. That's not a no. I literally yanked him toward me by the skin of his wings. Uffs, uffs, I choked on every word and he lurched back like I'd flapped him. His eyes flickered, rolling to pearly whites. Seriously, get lost, or I swear to God. I jabbed at the knife in my pocket. I will send you. Zephyr just walked away. Fast forward to now. Being an adult meant keeping my mouth shut was my superpower. It kept Zephyr away, but it didn't do jack for my parents' $50K debt. Thanks, fam. So here I am in this Super Sue's windowless building way out on the industrial edge of town. Some dude in a blood-splattered apron just finished my exam, basically telling me my organs were premium. Heart, lungs, brain, pancreas. Enough for a down payment, apparently. Next thing I know, I'm dangling from a hook, upside down under these blinding fluorescent lights. And these blades grow, like huge red ones, start whirring above me. I tried so hard to keep it together. My mouth was clamped shut. My mouth was shut. But, Zephyr, I sobbed? The name just escaping in me. I blinked. Nothing. No glimmer. No sparkle. No wings. Zephyr, I pulled against the restraints. Prince Zephyr? I seriously need you right now. Something caught my eye, a glimmer in the peripheral. Wings. Prince Zephyr stood there, arms folded, looking kinda annoyed. When the first blade began to slice through my torso, he just shrugged. What? Zephyr's lips pricked into that creepy wide smile. He waved as Scarlet began to, fly. Why? You literally told me to leave you alone, remember? Period. I'm dead. Literally. Okay, bet. So, the regular economy is kinda meh, right? But guess what's totally thriving? The spooky economy, no cap. This dude, Jax, a digital nomad from a quirky ghost-friendly town in the PNW who runs Hex-cellent Adventures Inc, has been keeping tabs on the whole paranormal business scene for the past 5 years. Look, as the CEO of Hex-cellent Adventures, I can't just be focused on my own guided ghost hunts. I gotta see the bigger picture, you know? Jax explained. And since literally no one else was actually tracking the supernatural market, I just kinda did it myself. Shout out to my 2 digital ghoul assistants for crunching the numbers. And the tea is, the outlook for 2026? It's looking pretty lit for all things otherworldly, Jax said. Here's the TL, DR from his latest report to Seance Circles. As Seance Circles, Seance Circles. Blowing up, 7% more people are getting their ghost chat on this quarter. IYKYK. Cause everyone's low-key stressing about their jobs and hitting up clairvoyance for a vibe check on their careers. A star to binding rod sales. Up a wild 160%. Blame climate change, fam. People are desperate for water, tapping into ancient tech. A startings quest, a startings quest, startings quest, startings quest, startings card about our capitalist. UFO startings gas basically said aliens don't care about our capitalist woes, they're just doing their own thing, probably vibing in their spaceships. Astral plane travel seminars? Why pay for a flight when you can just manifest yourself to another dimension? Peak adulting hack, honestly. Ask voodoo doll sales? Tripled. Jax called it, we're all so divided, it's easier to stab a doll in the metaphorical groin than, like, talk it out. It's giving toxic positivity gone wrong. Jax concluded on a somewhat savage note, paid exorcisms are actually down 4% among homeowners. My theory? People are just ghosting their haunted houses. They're literally turning them into Airbnbs and letting unsuspecting guests deal with the demonic roomies. Savage, but also genius side hustle? Okay, squad, pick a vibe for tonight, Anya mumbled, tossing the Apple TV remote. The twins immediately went feral over the gourmet popcorn. One batch was literally scorched, tasted like a sad bonfire. Ugh, this again? Kai groaned, pointing at the thumbnail of some dude in a dusty garage. No cap, the ending is so last season. All that shaky cam, it's giving found footage, but like, the bad kind. Liam hit play anyway. The footage was super pixelated, like a relic from 2008. Anya sipped her sparkling water. Hard pass. Skip to the good part. The lighting was way better in the content studio, remember? Liam fast-forwarded. On screen, a dude was literally on his knees, looking pretty desperate. Bro, not this cut, Kai complained. The quality is terrible. I can barely see the details. Liam paused. His eyes lit up like he just found a cheat code. He grabbed his phone, propping it against the half-eaten popcorn. Why waste time on a replay when we can drop a fresh reel? The feed flickered to high def, night vision green. On the tiny screen, a figure shackled to the basement joists jolted awake. There they are, Liam grinned, standing up. Let's make some new content. Zara bounced on the couch, a manic energy radiating. Bet, but I get first dibs on the, you know. Okay, so picture this. I'm chilling in Leo's super aesthetic apartment, scrolling through TikTok while he's still snoozing next to me. Low-key, I'm just staring at him thinking, how did I, Maya, land this guy? He's literally got it all. Brains, looks, he's sweet AF, and, like, seriously loaded. We've only been official for a few months, but I'm obsessed. He's my perfect 10-10-10, no notes kind of guy. I've never felt this kind of intense connection before, for real. Then, his phone buzzes. A notification from some group chat. Huh, I think. Leo never mentioned any group chats. Curiosity got the best of me, Ovis. I carefully grab his phone, trying not to wake him. I swipe open the notification, and holy crap. My heart literally drops to my stomach, like a full-on elevator freefall. This isn't just a group chat, it's a whole vibe of pure unadulterated psycho. These people are legit killers, talking about how much they gloves what they do. I'm screaming, crying, throwing up internally. And Leo? My perfect Leo? He's spilling all the tea in this group. But then I see the text, the one that made my soul exit my body. It said something like, I'm dating this girl Maya, only a couple months in, but honestly, I just started seeing her because she's a total doppelganger for my past victims. My past victims. Dude, I'm literally staring at the screen, and it hits me. I'm probably the next one. The tears are flowing, I'm sweating bullets, and my heart is doing a whole rip-me performance in my chest. Everything I thought I knew is shattered into a million tiny pieces. This whole chat is pure nightmare fuel. Then I hear his voice, hey honey, what's going on? I slowly look up and the dread is so heavy it feels like a physical weight. His sleepy smile totally vanishes when he clocks his phone in my hand. Babe, seriously? My phone? We literally talked about this. Boundaries, remember? No snooping. I just keep staring at him, completely speechless, tears streaming down my face. He takes one look at my face and his whole vibe shifts. You know, don't you? He says, his voice low. How could you? I manage to choke out, sobbing. He starts walking toward me, super chill, like none of this is a big deal. It's not what it seems, Maya. I love you. And then, the ultimate plot twist, the one that made my entire world freeze. Now, come here, my little victim. Okay, that jingle, right? If you see something that doesn't seem right. It was obsessed with Maya's brain, playing on loop as she speedwalked through the endless tube tunnels. Everyone else was literally sprinting, main character energy dialed to 11, all for the Boxing Day sales in West End. But Maya? Nah, she was not zibing. Then she slammed on the brakes. Some dude totally yeeted into her, mumbled something in, like, Polish? Whatever. People just float around her like she was furniture. Did no one else see it? This bag. Just sitting there, chilling under a massive poster for Wonderstain. You know, the lip stuff where the model has those half blue, half red lips. Ugh, Maya needed that stain. She'd dropped like 1,000 hints to her sis for Christmas, but nada. Totally planning to snag it in the sales. But the bag, a legit bougie handbag. Not too big, not too many. Quilted, deep forest green, with this blingy charm and a silky patterned scarf tied around the handle. Her lizard brain was screaming, mine, but also, yo, that bag is sus. The tube wind was giving chilly vibes. But seriously, such a gorgeous bag. Like, if you were gonna, do something sketchy, why pick something so extra? Maya was low-key still fuming about not getting the Wonderstain, and all the other stuff she wanted. Cute earrings, Korean skincare, obsessed. Those flared trousers from our kit. She was meeting her sister soon at that aesthetic cafe for those insane cinnamon almond buns. Then, the baby cry. Always the same exact split second before. A piercing shriek cutting through the crowd noise. Maya knew the exact moment now. This green? It was forest green. She lived for greens and blues, and this deep, luxurious dark green? Chef's kiss? And the Wonderstain? That deep blue magically changing to your perfect red? Still salty her sister got her some dusty, fusty candle from, like, the gift shop at the V&A or something. But whatever. Sales with sis for Korean skincare, for real this time. An eyeshadow the exact color of that bag. The silk scarf on the bag, dark green paisley. Kinda like the pattern on that wax candle, actually. It was so pretty. Seriously, so pretty. Maya almost got swept up in the crowd again, like her sister was waiting, duh. Then, full stop. Again, that beautiful forest green bag just sitting there under the Wonderstain poster. Dude bumped her, muttered something. Baby shrieked. Maya just stood, still, waiting. Was this like a glitch in the Matrix? Okay, so real talk, I was not feeling the whole camping vibe. But like, my BF Liam was super into it, and it was a to compromise. We agreed. Spring, we rough it in a tent in Blackwood Forest Preserve. 6 months later, dead of winter, we're living our best life at a bougie resort in Santorini. Fair, right? E-relationship goals? Kinda. The drive was like eternity. Liam, bless his heart, is a total fidgeter. Tapping fingers, leg jiggling a mile a minute, constantly running his hands through his hair. I swear, he could win an Olympic medal for most restless person. TBH camping was never even on my radar. My parents? Absolutely not. They grew up super poor, so sleeping under the stars with no Wi-Fi or indoor plumbing was basically just a trauma trigger for them. No cap. So I told my mom, Brenda, about the trip. She rolled her eyes at first like, of course you're doing that. But then I told her where exactly we were going, Blackwood Forest Preserve, and she legit gasped. Her eyes went wide and she whispered this super creepy line, like a meme she'd memorized. In the mountains older than bones, strange things hunger for them. She was like, hold up, and bolted upstairs. Came back with Grandma's amethyst necklace, practically shoved it into my hand. Held my hands like her life depended on it, squeezing them hard. When your dad and I left those woods, she started, it wasn't just because we were broke. I was, low-key, just admiring the sparkly amethyst, half listening. There are things in the forest we wanted to shield you from. She gripped my arm so hard it hurt, finally getting my attention. I jumped. Maya, listen to me, she said, her voice tight. I really don't want you to go, but if you do, the second that sun dips, you do not talk to anyone you haven't seen before nightfall. I don't care if you hear someone screaming for help. I don't care if your bestie, your actual mom, literally anyone you think you know walks up. Jesus himself could descend from the heavens, and you better keep your mouth shut. No cap, she was intense. And what did I do? The most Gen Z thing ever. I laughed it off, like, lol, okay mom, got it, don't talk to strangers after dark. Kisses her cheek, grabs my stuff, peace out. We got to the Blackwood Preserve, no drama. And yeah, I was wearing the necklace. I mean, it's amethyst, it's pretty, and it was Grandma's. Why not? I vowed to myself, no complaining, no bad vibes. And honestly, the hike was actually kind of nice. Liam set up the tent like a pro, and I whipped up some campfire chili. Everything was going perfectly. Chili was banging, we were just getting into s'mores, when bam, like the temp legit dropped 20 degrees in an instant. I saw my own breath. Yo, it just got like super cold, Liam said. Effort, I agreed. Then this LOUD crack came from the woods behind us, like a tree branch just snapped. We spun around, another crack in front. Then two more, one on each side. We were totally surrounded, but couldn't see anything. Just this spooky rustling, like whispers, but not actual words. Hell, Liam started to call out. SHH, I hissed at him. He gave me this confused look, but deep down I knew. Like, it was a primal vibe check. Talking to whatever was out there would be a literal invite. I'm just trying to see. Stop talking, I whispered, dead serious. Then, from the tree line, a shadowy figure shuffled in. Then another, and another, and another. More and more. At first I thought, okay, cool, maybe some LARPers? But then my brain caught up to my eyes, and I realized, nope, these were actual skeletons. And not even complete ones. Every single one was, like, missing pieces. Another had half a ribcage. One was missing a whole arm. Hello! The biggest one creaked. Friends, another wheezed. Do not speak to them, I gritted out through clenched teeth. Spare, a, bone, for, us. It was giving major nope, not today Satan vibes. I grabbed the amethyst pendant in one hand and Liam's hand in the other. Instantly, it felt like something grounded me, like I grew roots straight into the earth. This invisible shield, like, pulsed from the pendant, through my fingers, and into Liam, connecting us. So many bones, only, need, few. The pressure from them was suffocating. The amethyst pendant got warm in my grip. I could barely breathe. But Liam, my poor, Galway's fidgeting Liam, he let go of my hand for 1 second, just to push up his glasses. And that was it. The bone guys swarmed. Faster than I could blink. Squirmed. Faster than I could blink, a skeletal arm just king-ing him. I instinctively reached for him, but the amethyst pendant went white-hot in my palm, and it felt like an invisible hand shoved me back. I'll never unsee the pure terror on his face before he just disappeared into a circle of bones. One short, sharp scream. Then this gross, wet hacking sound, bubbling, and the swishy plops of something hitting the ground. When it all went quiet, the circle opened. The original bone dudes were complete. And standing with them, a new one, Liam's height, all slick and shiny, and, yeah, still missing a few pieces. They just turned like a synchronized dance and vanished. The rest of the night, I just stayed there, curled into a ball. Too terrified to speak, too terrified to even move. Like, if a leaf rustled, I was convinced they'd be back. As soon as the sun started to peak, some random family of campers stumbled upon me. I guess I was just unresponsive, they called the rangers. Catatonic, they said. At the hospital, it was interview after interview. My story? Totally unhinged to them, apparently. They just wrote it off as shock and trauma. A few days later, they found Liam's remains. I didn't even ask what they found. It was a closed casket funeral, obviously. My parents have been trying to call to tell me more about our family's history, they say. I haven't seen or talked to them since the funeral. But sometimes, super late at night, I feel this icy chill. The amethyst pendant on my neck gets warm, and deep down in my bones, I know, don't make a sound. I-Y-K-Y-K. Okay, so legit, there's only one rule when you hit up the glitchy woods. And YOU always gotta wear your neon green scrunchie around your wrist. Nana always said it wasn't to, protect you from the woods. It was so the woods knew your vibe, you know? So they didn't, permanently ghost you. It's been this whole thing in our small town of Oakhaven for ages. No one knows why, but everyone's better safe than sorry. Every generation has its own creepy story about someone who forgot their scrunchie. Their bodies would turn up weeks later, totally messed up, always right by the main trail, but it was like they just couldn't see it, couldn't find their way back to civilization. Nana told me this one story that still gives me chills. She and her bestie were grabbing boba in Oakhaven. It started getting dark, so they decided to take the shortcut home through the glitchy woods. They hadn't gone far when her friend was like, OMG, my scrunchie. I left it at the boba shop. She totally freaked, and they both started sprinting back. But after just a few steps, Nana was, totally alone. Her friend's body was found weeks later, right where they'd turned around. Legit terrifying. I was retelling that story to my boyfriend Ethan as we were hiking to Oakhaven through the woods. You already told me this, Chloe, he grumbled, totally annoyed. Yeah, but you used to think it was cool. That was before, Chloe. Are you still, super salty about? Yeah, I'm still salty. How could you even do that with Leo? I can't even look at you anymore. All I see is him. Awkward silence. We just trudged along. Ethan was staring at the ground, basically radiating bad vibes. I tried to hug him from behind. Get off me, he yelled, literally ripping my hands away. Ethan, I'm so sorry. My eyes started welling up. His face was all twisted up with anger. I just stared at my feet, mascara probably running. Tears streamed down, I covered my face. Wait, Chloe. A flicker of actual concern in his voice. Was his heart finally uniced? Chloe, where's your scrunchie? My spine did a whole shockwave thing. What do you mean? It's on my wrist. I pulled my hands away, vision blurry from tears, wiped them off. Ethan's eyes were huge with terror. He pointed at the ground. My neon green scrunchie lay there, almost invisible in the fallen leaves. Ethan, no, you absolute prick. It's not my freaking fault. My hands dove into the leaves, fishing out the scrunchie. I looked at Ethan, practically begging. He bit his lip. I tried to walk towards him, but he started backing away. Ethan! My voice just faded into the sound of crunching leaves. The whole area around me just, slowly went pitch black. My ears started doing this mild ringing thing, then it just cranked up to 11, so loud I thought my eardrums would literally explode. I covered my ears, squeezed my eyes shut, and screamed my head off. Then, absolute silence. I slowly opened my eyes, no more leaves under my feet. Ethan was standing a few feet away. The woods were super dark, but the moon was shining, super bright. The scrunchie was still clutched in my hand, a faint breeze. I shivered. It was freezing. The tree's spooky bare branches swayed in the wind. Ethan, my voice was, shaking so hard. He was staring at the ground. Then he lifted his head. His eyes met mine, but they were, wrong, empty. His irises actually glowed under the moonlight. "What's good, Chloe?" he said, with this super creepy calm. He had this unnaturally wide, unsettling grin. Where Karui? What just happened? Chill, Chloe. We're still on the path." A literal chill went down my spine. A literal chill, Chloe. We're still on the path. A literal chill went down my spine. The dirt path felt solid, but it was like trying to walk through thick mud after a massive storm. Every step was double the effort. "What's going on, Chloe?" He started walking towards me. "Are you okay?" "Okay? Why wouldn't I be okay?" The woods are usually like clouds at night, but it was dead silent. No owls, no crickets, no nothing. Just our voices and our steps. "Where are you going, Chloe?" "Ethan, He started speeding up. My heart was doing a whole TikTok dance, but not in a good way. I turned and just ran. His footsteps were right behind me. Closer. I could feel his breath on my neck. My blood, literally froze. His hand grabbed my shoulder and spun me around. His eyes were glowing. Cred. "Gotcha, Chloe." "Ethan, please don't." He slammed me to the ground. I tried to crawl away, but he just pulled me back. The mud was so cold, seeping into my hair. He let out this, totally blood-curdling laugh and climbed on top of me. He pulled up his sleeves and put his hand on my neck. He was just staring into my eyes. I tried to pry his hands off, but his grip was, insanely strong. Ethan slowly started tightening his grip. I started gasping for air. Was this, the end? Wait, the scrunchie. It was still in my hand. I, fumbled and wrapped it around my wrist. I felt it tighten, but I could still feel his warm hands crushing my throat. I closed my eyes, praying for it to be quick. Darkness. The ringing again. Was I actually dying? Then the ground felt firm again. I could breathe. I slowly opened my eyes. I was still in the woods. But the sun was up. My scrunchie was on my wrist, totally untorn, and felt even tighter than I remembered tying it. Ethan was nowhere. My hair was still full of mud. I slowly got up, totally freaking out, spinning around. No one. I just stumbled back to town. People were staring at me like I was a ghost. My front door was, wide open. I practically fell inside. Nana's eyes went huge. She just started crying and ran to hug me. We hugged for what felt like forever. "Chloe, we thought the glitchy woods took you," she choked out. "Ethan said your scrunchie fell off, and then you just vanished. He hasn't been himself since. He'll be so happy to see you back." Okay, so listen up, because I'm legit typing this from a hospital waiting room, hands all bandaged up like I went 10 rounds with a cheese grater far. Last weekend, I tried to do a chill solo camp trip at this place called Maplewood Canyon, a wilderness preserve outside town. The reservation email said Pine Needle Nook in Loop C. Still got the receipt, all crinkly and smudged from rain and panic sweat, but you can see it, Maplewood Canyon. One night. $35. Plus this reservation ID that means nothing to anyone but me and my nightmares. I'm not asking you to believe in ghosts or Bigfoot or whatever. This was hardwares. Something you can totally buy, toss in a tote bag, and just switch on. I camp alone a lot, and I do it the smart way. Not the boring way, but the not getting eaten by a bear way. I tell my bestie where I'm at, park nose out so I can bail fast, lock up all my snacks, no sketchy night hikes, zero alcohol. I'm not out here looking for trouble, promise. This time, I just wanted one quiet night and some coffee that tasted like wood smoke in the morning. I pulled up around 40 p.m. The ranger guy at the check-in booth just scanned my QR code, gave me the usual keep it down after 10 spiel. The entrance sign said, "Fire danger, moderate. No outside firewood." Standard stuff. The preserve was pretty busy, not gonna lie. Families in huge SUVs, a couple with a rooftop tent living their best even life, a group of teenagers beefing over a Bluetooth speaker that kept cutting out. Loop C was deeper in the pines, and the dirt road was all bumpy. My spot, Pine Needle Nook, was on the outer edge. Not the best view, but super private. Picnic table, fire ring, and one of those heavy-duty steel bear boxes bolted to concrete that screams Keens when you open it. The first thing that fell off was these posts. There were 4 skinny fiberglass stakes, like waist high, with bright orange reflective tape on top. Total survey marker vibes, but like super random for a campsite. They were spaced in this weird loose square that didn't match the normal site boundary. And each stake had a black zip tie near the top, cinched tight around nothing. I stood there, probably too long, just staring at them with my hands on my hips like that would magically explain it. Told myself it was maintenance, hazard tree marking, utility work, something. Set up my little 2-person backpacking tent, parked nose out, cooler in the bear box, and here's where I made the stupid human mistake I keep replaying in my head. I didn't latch the bear box properly the first time. Closed it, heard the heavy door thunk, walked away thinking it was secure. 10 minutes later, I walked back and realized the latch was still open by half an inch, just chilling there. Mumbled at myself, fixed it, moved on. Around 6:10 p.m., I walked to the restroom building to wash up. It was painted that tired park bathroom green, smelled like damp concrete and lemon cleaner that never quite wins. On the way back, I passed a bigger site where some dad was just pounding tent stakes with the flat side of a hatchet. He nodded at me and said, "Bugs are insane, man," I agreed, even though I hadn't noticed any yet. Then he looked past me towards my site, squinting like he was trying to read something in the dim light. "Yo, what are those poles?" he asked. "Already here," I said. "Probably maintenance." He made a face like he was not buying that, then went back to his tent. Made a small fire. Nothing huge, just enough to feel like I earned being outside. Ate a pouch dinner and just sat on the bench with my headlamp around my neck, listening to the campground noise, then out. Heard a baby cry somewhere down the loop. Someone laughed too loud and got shushed. A car door slammed. Then it got quiet in that way campgrounds do, where you still hear people, but it comes in little distant pieces. At 9:58 p.m., my phone flipped from 5G to SOS. I remember checking it right before crawling into my sleeping bag. Texted my sister, "All good. Night." It failed to send. Not surprising. Lots of preserves have dead spots. I fell asleep with my keys in my hand. That's another thing I normally never do. I always put them in the same pocket. This time, I was half asleep and just set them on the picnic table when I tightened my tent guy lines, then forgot to pick them back up. Didn't realize that until later when it, really mattered. Slept for maybe 2 hours. Woke up because my tent moved. Not a gentle flutter of wind. A hard tug like someone grabbed the rainfly and yanked it. My first thought was an animal brushing past. Then the tent moved again. Lower, like pressure at ankle height. I sat up fast. My elbow hit the tent wall. My heart went straight to my throat. I listened. No footsteps, no snorting. Just a faint sound outside that absolutely didn't belong. A tiny clicking steady, like a cheap plastic pen being pressed over and over. Click, click, click. Found my headlamp and turned it on, pointing it at the tent wall. The nylon glowed. Shadows moved wrong. Thin lines crossed the fabric. Not like branches. Not like the normal wavering shapes you see when light hits canvas. I pushed the door zipper open just enough to look out. The beam hit the orange tape on the nearest stake and flashed super bright. Behind it, in the dark, something caught the light in sharp little glints. Clear line. Fishing line. Monofilament. Dozens of strands stretched between the stakes. Some at shin height, some at waist height, some higher. A whole web that had not been there when I went to sleep. And it was moving, not swaying. Tightening, tightening. The clicking got faster. A line snapped tight across the front of my tent door, and the nylon creased around it like it was being cinched. The tent shifted an inch, then another. I crawled out on my hands and knees because standing felt like begging to get clotheslined. The headlamp made the lines sparkle for half a second, then they vanished again, unless the beam hit them at the right angle. A line caught my wrist. It did not wrap gently. It bit. Pain so clean it felt hot. It dug into my skin like a wire saw. I yanked back on instinct and the line tightened, dragging my hand forward toward the nearest stake. My headlamp bounced. The beam flashed over the ground and I saw where the lines were anchored. Small black boxes at the base of trees, each about the size of a brick. Each had a spool and a little metal wheel like a tiny winch. The clicking was coming from those boxes. They were pulling the line in. A second line snapped up and caught 2 of my fingers together. My hand cramped instantly. I felt my pulse banging against plastic and pressure. I went for my pocket knife, got it open, brought it down on the line at my wrist. It did not cut right away. The line stretched. The blade skated. Then it finally nicked through. The moment it broke, the free end snapped back and whipped my knuckles. I rolled, trying to get clear. A line tightened under my armpit. Another caught my ankle and my foot slid toward the stake like the ground had turned slick. I started yelling. Loud. Ugly. I screamed for help until my throat burned. No one came running. Either nobody heard or nobody wanted to charge into a campsite full of invisible line. Then I heard something new. Not clicking. A soft electronic chirp, like a key fob, followed by a longer tone. One of the winch boxes changed pitch. It went from click to a smooth high whine for half a second. The line on my wrist tightened again and I understood what it was doing. This wasn't just a web. It was a net that was closing around me. I crawled toward the nearest box, cutting lines as I went. Each cut line snapped back, stinging, sometimes catching my clothes. The knife handle got slick with blood. My wrist burned in a clean groove where the line had opened it. I reached the nearest box. It was strapped to the trunk with a ratchet strap. A thick battery pack sat beside it, wired in. On top was a small antenna, like a cheap handheld radio. The line ran through a metal guide and onto a spool. I drove the knife down and cut as close to the spool as I could. The motor protested. The line went slack for a breath. Then the spool reversed and yanked the slack back. The line tightened around my calf again, harder, like the system corrected itself. Something in the trees flashed to my left. A red dot, low, moving. My headlamp caught a shape behind a trunk. Someone using the trees, keeping distance. A hand raised. I saw the rectangle of a phone or a remote. The red dot moved again and settled on my torso, steady, like it was aimed on purpose. My stomach turned cold. Not because of the dot, because of what it meant. This was for me. I grabbed the battery cable and ripped it out of the box. The clicking stopped. The line around my leg went slack so suddenly I almost fell backward. For half a second it was quiet except for my breathing and the soft snap of the fire dying down in the ring. Then another clicking started farther away, another box. Back up. The lines began tightening again, slower but still tightening. The person in the trees shifted, leaves crushed under a careful step. I did not wait. I crawled out of the tightening net, cutting and dragging, getting snagged, freeing myself in inches. My shorts tore, my skin caught line, and I felt it burn new grooves across my thigh and forearm. My headlamp bounced, turning the trees into quick flashes. I got to my car and reached for my keys. Nothing. My pocket was empty. My brain did this blank, stupid pause, like it tried to deny reality for a second. Then it hit me. Picnic table. The clicking sped up again. The net tightened again. I could feel it starting to catch my waist. I turned my headlamp toward the picnic table and saw them glinting there like a cruel joke, right where I left them. I crawled to the table, grabbed them, and my wrist screamed when the line shifted against the cut. I got back to the car, hit unlock, and yanked the door open. A line snapped tight across my waist as I tried to get in. It caught on my belt and pulled me back hard enough that my head clipped the door frame. I screamed and cut at it. The knife finally sliced through. The tension snapped back into the trees. I fell into the seat, slammed the door, and locked it. Line slapped the outside of the car. I heard them ping against the metal like cables flicking a drum. In my headlight beam, I saw the stakes again, and my stomach dropped even more. There were more than 4. Extra stakes beyond the campsite boundary, closer to the road, hidden in brush. The web reached toward the road like it expected me to run. I started the car and threw it into reverse. The tires spun on dirt. The car lurched and I felt a jolt, like I hit something soft but strong. The hood dipped. The lines stretched. For a second, I thought the car would be held in place. Then the lines snapped. The sound was sharp, multiplied. Whip cracks. The hood shook. Something slapped the windshield and left a wet streak. I reversed hard, then swung forward, aiming for the main road out of the loop. In my mirror, between trunks, I saw the person move. A silhouette, closer now. Reflective tape on their sleeves, orange like the stakes. They stepped toward my car and raised a hand, not waving. Pointing. My headlight swept the ground, and for a second I saw what they'd been standing near. A plastic tote, half buried in needles, lid cracked open, full of coiled clear line and more black boxes. Supplies. I hit the gas. On the way out, I laid on the horn until it sounded wrong. I wanted lights to come on. I wanted witnesses. Some did. Porch lights snapped on. A man stepped onto the road in socks, hands up like he did not know whether to stop me or ask what was wrong. I did not stop. I drove straight to the entrance booth. It was closed, dark, but there was an emergency phone box by the gate. A small sign above it said to lift the receiver for emergencies and not to use it for reservations. My hands shook so badly I dropped the receiver once. I told the dispatcher someone had set wire traps at my campsite and there were motors pulling them tight. I kept saying wire because fishing line sounded too stupid for what it had done. A sheriff's deputy arrived first, then a ranger in a separate vehicle. They took one look at my wrists and legs and told me to sit. They drove back to Loop C with lights on. I didn't go with them. I couldn't make myself. I sat under a buzzing light and watched moths slam into the plastic cover while my blood dripped onto the concrete. I remember thinking, very clearly, that the drip was too slow to be real, like my brain was watching it in someone else's body. When the ranger came back, his face looked different, like he'd aged 10 years on the drive. He did not tell me it was nothing. He did not tell me I imagined it. He said, "We found it. They found the stakes. They found the lines. They found multiple winch boxes still strapped to trees, still working, still pulling line even after I'd ripped one battery loose. They found the tote. They did not find the person. At the hospital, they irrigated the cuts. They picked clear fragments out of my skin with tweezers. They gave me a tetanus shot. The doctor asked if I'd been attacked. I told him yes. He asked by what. I told him, a system. 2 days later, I drove past that preserve on my way to work just to prove to myself it existed. The sign is still there. The entrance still looks friendly. The little tourist board still advertises it like a peaceful place to unwind. Loop C is closed now. There is new signage zip-tied to the permanent posts. Bright yellow, temporary. It says the area is closed due to utility work and not to enter Loop C. If I ever camp again and see skinny fiberglass stakes with reflective tape that do not make sense, or zip ties around nothing, I won't assume it is maintenance. I won't sleep in that site. I won't step between those posts. And if I hear clicking in the dark that doesn't sound like an animal, I'm leaving. I'm doing it before the lines start moving, because once they start pulling, you stop being a camper. You become a problem somebody planned to solve.